Welcome to Leaders Legacy. I'm your host Varsha Sarkar, and our today's episode is titled Building Trust in FinTech Marketing Initiatives. Our guest here today is Hitesh Bhatia, who is the Senior VP of Marketing at Vayana Network. Hitesh has over 10 years of experience in BFSI and FinTech space with a proven track record of building and scaling brands, driving customer acquisition and retention, and creating value for stakeholders. Welcome to our show, Hitesh.
Hi, thank you, Varsha. Thanks for that wonderful introduction. And you make me sound a lot more.
You're welcome, Hitesh. So this is a very interesting topic. This is the first time we are actually talking about fintech. When people think about fintech, the first thing that comes to their mind is security concern. So how exactly do you address security concern in your fintech marketing efforts?
Sure. So, Varsha, one thing I would say is that I think in India, especially, we have come a long way in terms of building trust in fintech. But yes, going 10 years back when the world called fintech did not exist, a word called startups did not exist, and
Yes.
we were using technology, to deliver financial services. Yes, trust was a big factor. A lot of the questions when you had sent me, I was sort of going back to my initial days. I think now the
Mm-hmm.
market is way more mature. Nobody asks, people
Yes.
assume that, trust and security are inbuilt in what
Mm-hmm.
we are offering. Though that's still always the question when we kind of go and pitch the product. But I'll quickly go back to, the initial days, going back to say uh, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, when we were doing that, what I was doing was providing banking services to, deep rural areas of the
Mm-hmm.
country. And that kind of technology India was one of the first countries to try it. And, we even got awarded for what we did at that time. So, yes, so coming back to how we build trust, was that in that kind of scenario, when
Mm-hmm.
internet penetration wasn't there as much,
Mm-hmm.
we use a lot of local influencers, what you call influencers marketing today. Uh,
Yes.
we were doing that, but it was a lot offline. It was, using
So who
something
are these
called.
local influencers exactly?
Yes, so I'll come to. So I think there were multiple things that we were doing. One is obviously in a place like a village, especially,
Mm-hmm.
Sarpanch still holds a lot of value. His word holds a lot of value.
Oh,
So,
right.
getting those kind of people whose word holds value to explain to them what we were offering as
Mm-hmm.
product and let them be your spokespersons, right? That
Right.
was one. Second, we would do in Hindi, the word is called Monadi, but it's
Mm-hmm.
basically public announcement, wherein we would go around through a pre-recorded message and we would
Uh-huh.
blast that message on a loudspeaker and the person would keep going,
Right.
in the designated area where we were supposed to
Mm-hmm.
operate. And the third was street plays in that language, of course.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, and the fourth thing was to use the local village fairs, to again, reinforce the message in a much more what you call it, relaxed or a fun place, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
people's guards are a little down, they are open to, experiencing things. So
Right.
these were the things we were using, and I know you may have expected me to talk about digital marketing here to start with, but I think these are the more real
Yeah,
on the
these are
ground
actually the
things.
more unheard marketing
Yeah,
strategies that nobody talks about. I feel these are very interesting.
yeah. So these were the ones, were the days where we didn't have Google Maps, we didn't have
Mm,
a lot of things that we have access to today, and we were managing uh, to convince rural folks,
mm-hmm.
people in the hinterland, to use banking services. Uh,
Right.
Today India ranks very high in terms of financial inclusion, but 10 years back that wasn't the case, and it's been
Right.
such efforts on ground not so visible in mass media, that have made
Mm-hmm.
the difference that we see today. I'll still touch upon the topics which some of the your listeners may want to, but yes, when we do marketing efforts and
Mm-hmm.
we are doing something related to finance, fintech,
Mm-hmm.
half part is finance. uh, the idea that security has to be there, the transparency on cost has to be there, is not lost on us.
Right.
And you make sure that message is reinforced across our communication. Uh,
Right.
especially in a country like India, where while we have moved quite ahead in terms of usage of financial,
Mm-hmm.
services online, uh, the self-service model still uh, is the more preferred way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if you are, and especially when you buy products which are not straightforward, for example, insurance, right?
Yes.
You would invariably get a call from the insurance company or
Mm.
the aggregator if you're trying to buy it online through a web aggregator, who will help you through the process,
Right.
right? So, I my experience has been that sort of support assisted model is what works, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what builds trust. While a lot of things you can do, but people prefer having a person to talk to in front of them, someone,
Mm-hmm.
they can outsource this work to say, okay, मेरे से कुछ गलती हो जाएगी, but because you do it every day, you know exactly how to
Right.
go through this process without making any mistakes.
Definitely.
Third thing, again, in terms of this, what we used to run uh, is remittance services. So people working uh, in cities, but their families being back in rural areas, send money home. Now, again, this process used to be offline, uh, like sending money
Mm-hmm.
in hands of somebody who knows, or through not so legal means, but to the innocence it worked for them. Uh, so we would provide remittance services where there were,
Mm-hmm.
where there are remittance kiosks within the city, and these people would send money to the accounts of the family
Right.
members back home. And what we saw was especially a lot of auto rickshaw drivers, taxi
Mm-hmm.
drivers. For them, time is actually money. I mean,
Yes.
if they are standing in a line in a bank and
Mm-hmm.
not right, taking rides, they're losing money. So
Right.
they were able to develop so much trust through these activities of ours, that
Mm.
they would just give the money to our operator and say, you send it, this is
Mm-hmm.
the phone number, and you know let me go back to doing what I do during the day. Because especially to that kind of segment, where
Mm-hmm.
was a gig economy that you call it
Mm,
now, but
yes.
daily wage labor,
Yeah.
uh, to them every minute matters, every hour is sort of counted, and
Mm-hmm.
because of that, you cannot let them spend time standing in queues, which
Of course.
is sort of a de-rigor in a lot of things. But that's how trust is built. Trust is built by having a human face, uh,
Mm-hmm.
by having an assisted model, uh, and by assuring people that in case something goes wrong, there's somebody to give a resolution to.
Right. Coming to fintech platforms, can you share a successful campaign that you ran in order to build consumer trust in your platform? I think this especially holds true if the fintech platform is quite new in the market.
Yes. So I think there were multiple things, and then I have been fortunate enough to build a lot of platforms from
Mm-hmm.
ground zero. And the whole idea again, goes through your typical stages of how marketing,
Mm-hmm.
process is, wherein you build awareness, you help people during the decision making, and that's what we did. So while I give the example of rural folks, I
Mm-hmm.
also have been involved in uh, build discounting platforms for SMEs,
Mm-hmm.
and there again, uh, required, while we do digital marketing campaigns and our communication makes sure how to build, to talk about transparency, to talk about
Right.
clearly talk about the cost, clearly talk about the security of the transaction,
Mm-hmm.
wherein what comes to play is to tell people that we are a regulated entity, that there is
Mm-hmm.
a regulator behind us. We are not
Right.
fly-by-night operators. And these things help build trust. And second is, again, doing offline campaigns in partnership with the regulator and
Mm-hmm.
trade bodies. Our campaigns in B2B end up being a lot longer compared to B2C, where you
Right.
have a tagline and you do run it for a few weeks and you close
Yes.
it. For us, it is a very long gestation period in B2B.
Mm-hmm.
While the basics remain the same in sense of, interest, awareness, or the models remain the same, but it is a lot longer exercise because you're asking people to part with their money in some way or the other, or do a
Right.
transaction online. As I said before, and, I'd be repeating that, uh, we have come a long way when it comes to uh,
Mm-hmm.
individual B2C transactions. What we have still to cover is the similar sort of journey in B2B, uh,
Right.
especially because you can open a savings account easily without thinking
Mm-hmm.
through an app for individual, but you can't do the same for a business. You can't open a
Right.
current account through an app. And while people have that trust, the regulations do not allow for
Mm-hmm.
certain reasons. That these things can be made offline, completely online. And
Right.
the second thing is, especially in terms of how we have done, broad trust across campaigns, is that making people ready. And when it comes to B2B, a lot of businesses are not having credit worthiness, as we call it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
So there is one part to say that how do I build trust? The
Mm-hmm.
second part is that person even viable as a customer?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we talk about these very big numbers. Say there are 65 million MSMEs in the
Mm-hmm.
country, employ 112 million people, and that's a 50% of our GDP, which comes through them. But the reality is, out of these 65 million, hardly 1 million are actually uh, customers which are, credit worthy.
Right.
Now, now, to other than, I think before I build trust, I have to help them build a credit history. So,
Yes.
so that becomes the first step wherein I have to build credit history. I have to get them to be credit ready.
Mm-hmm.
I have to act as a sathi or a sakha,
Mm-hmm.
as a partner which helps them become credit ready.
Right.
Right. So the trust is built when, I tell them what I'm doing is
Mm-hmm.
not for me to earn money out of you, but for
Yes.
you to become financially more healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when I'm offering you a service, which is not something which says, hey, I'm going to take money from you. No, I'm going to tell you what your business's health is,
Right.
right? And how knowing and improving in those areas can get you,
Mm-hmm.
easier access to financial products,
Mm-hmm.
is where, as far as my uh, you know, role across, B2B has been. And it's been a big journey of education.
Definitely.
Hmm.
When coming to education, actually, I wanted to ask you, have you ever undertaken any educational initiatives in order to instill confidence in your fintech platform through marketing?
Yes. So as I mentioned about these offline initiatives with
Mm-hmm.
the regulator, with trade bodies, that was the whole idea, about building that confidence, as
Mm-hmm.
you said. The idea is that people don't know us, right? But once they see, okay, uh, there is a regulator there, there is a trade body which I am a member of, and
Right.
they are bringing this person. to the table, that immediately brings trust. Uh,
Hmm.
right? And that's what, I said influencer marketing, but offline.
Yes, yes.
Right? So you get the key voices in a room, and that's how you proceed. India is a vast country, and there is
Hmm.
while digital provides you access, a big
Yes,
access and reach. I think in India, as far as we are concerned, we love touch and feel.
yes,
Uh, Unless we are not very sure, we can go online, but the online works because, we get a surety that if you don't like a product, you can send it back as many times as
right,
you
right.
want, right? Uh, in terms of standardized products like gadgets, you are very sure of
Hmm.
what to get. But when it comes to, clothes or fashion accessories, you're not very sure. You would
Right.
love to buy it because it offers you a discount,
Yes,
but you're not very sure of the size or the
yes,
color. What you see online is going to fit you. So,
right.
India is a country uh, where we like to touch and feel the things, and unless we are very sure of quality, we don't buy. So offline. So while online provides you reach, online
Hmm.
provides you you know access to a large population, and you can sharpen your target audience. You need to go offline in terms of building that trust in your platform, and that's has been the journey, whether it was individual access to financial services, where you went to rural areas and picked up
Hmm.
what their influences were, or if you're talking about urban areas, where what your influences are there, right?
Hmm.
And that's how you build trust. That's how you tell about security. And once people are very sure of the benefit that you're going to provide, um, then they are, you know, assured of the security part too.
Definitely. Hitesh, as a marketer, how do you balance the need to promote a new product and the reliability and security of the existing fintech products among your community?
See, in finance, security uh, uh, is primarily for primary for people. The
Hmm.
only time people can overlook security is is when uh, the benefit is just too good for people to ignore. I mean, I'm sure you would have accounts in multiple banks,
Yes,
and some banks make it so hard for you to reach your money, and
yes,
some banks make it a breeze, right?
yes.
You are like, please remove these security hurdles. I just want to access my money and do what
Hmm.
I want to do with it, right?
Right.
But sometimes, you will say, okay, yeah, I need all these hurdles because I want this hard-earned money to not be spent, right? Save me from these
Yes.
end of season sales and end of season sales.
Yeah.
So, it really depends upon the benefit. Benefit supersedes a lot of times. So when I remember uh, among these offline initiatives, I was going from, say, multiple places in a city itself. I think, during
Hmm.
COVID, online, I did more than 100 webinars to tell people of what early payment solution we were offering.
Right.
They would just simply think of us as some masiha which is going to solve their problem. I think,
Hmm.
security wasn't something on their mind. So security is inbuilt. Security and trust are unsaid rules of a financial business, right?
Hmm. Yes.
I mean, if you go into a bank, no matter which bank, big, small, uh, runs, marketing campaigns with brand ambassadors or not, but you expect that if it is a bank, there are certain basics they have to provide to you, right?
Right.
And same goes for financial services that we deal with. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, it's money, and you are answerable. You are
Yes.
answerable to yourself or you are answerable to an organization. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, money is all about accountability, and
Right.
hence it is never out of an equation, right? It's like you go to a hospital and uh, you are expected that they will take all needed precautions for safety of the
Mm.
patients.
Yes.
So I think security and trust are sort of ingrained, but
Mm-hmm.
also it takes time to build it. Trust is not something you can build overnight. It
Mm-hmm.
takes time. While security and trust are uh, inbuilt and required,
Mm-hmm.
to make people believe takes a long time, right? And it takes multiple routes to build it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so while marketing helps in communicating, the other parts of marketing, as much as grievance redressal in case
Mm-hmm.
is as much important. I'm sure you would have seen some apps. You are assured of their grievance redressal, and even if there is an expected deficiency in service, okay, I'll put the complaint on their help desk, and I
Mm-hmm.
will get an instant answer, right?
Right.
Some of the B2C brands have managed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think B2B is sort of a different animal in terms of grievance redressal.
Yes.
But yes, B2C apps, whether there is a overarching regulator or not, have managed to build that trust because their transaction is dependent on these things. In
Right.
B2B, the mild difference is once you build that, it starts with building a trust, you build
Mm-hmm.
the relationship, and then a transaction happens. With
Right.
B2C, you do a transaction and you see because the ticket size is small,
Mm.
you see, let's see what happens. You are much more open to experiment. That's not the case when it comes to B2B
Right.
because uh, more often than not in B2B, you are you know, uh, what I call it as a trustee. You are a trustee rather than
Mm-hmm.
the actual owner.
Yes.
And you have like a fiduciary duty to make sure that what you are doing is safe, what you are doing,
Mm-hmm.
is not going to turn into a financial loss. So those tests are done way before you do a first transaction
Right.
compared to a B2C where you try first,
Mm.
and then you see whether it can turn out good or bad because the exit costs are very low, right?
Right.
I mean, you can like a shampoo or dislike a shampoo and you can say,
Mm-hmm.
fine, next time I'll not buy it, right?
Right.
But when it comes to B2B products, just the investment of starting a transaction is way higher, right?
Yes.
So the trust building, the security is paramount. It happens first, and then a transaction takes place. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so all our campaigns, talk about the simplicity of starting that initiating that transaction, and not about that what if you use this shampoo or deodorant, your world is going to change.
Right.
Right. So that's I hope I've answered your question. It's been a long one, but
Yes, yes, definitely. Coming to the most interesting, the final question. When there is a crisis, as a marketer, how do you effectively manage and communicate to rebuild that trust? Because firefighting becomes very important at that point. How would you do
yes.
that?
Yes. So, when a crisis happens, uh, the best thing to do is to literally, go right to the center of it and address it.
Hmm.
Yes, again, when it comes to fintech, there, financial services and people's money sentiments run high.
Right.
You know, in my past experience, I mean, it just still sends me shivers, the kind of experiences we have had to fight off. And, in general, marketing is never somebody which sort of has a seat on table when you are building a product, selling the product.
Yes.
Uh, when crisis comes, then you are asked, okay, now give us a solution. use a magic wand and get it off the
Yes.
table. I think the first thing across the various experiences that I've had was to go and talk to the sort of concerned parties, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, at times it is difficult to get that access, but the point is to rebuild the trust with that aggrieved party, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to again, uh, while there are sort of procedures we fix, in terms of the chain of command, the chain of
Mm-hmm.
communication, and you have to have those set rules. At the end of the day, what serves you is that you have the belief that in case something, the first thing is that you don't generally conduct something which is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right? And because you are in financial services, unless there's sort of there are multiple chains or multiple
Right.
links in a chain, and unless there's a technology or a technology dependency which has gone
Mm-hmm.
down, uh, you address it, and you share the what has broken, and once you have taken care of tech part of it, I think
Mm-hmm.
human part is a long term thing wherein it begins with hiring the right set of
Yes.
people. The integrity risk any business carries, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the point here is that when you can go and face, what's wrong, and address it at the root, I think that's where you start rebuilding the trust.
Yes.
Uh, and that's what has helped me, that while it is difficult because there are a lot of emotions and sentiments are running high, the point is if you address the cause of concern and the aggravated parties, uh, and diffuse the situation,
Mm.
at the end of the day, no one is out there to fleece people. The ones who are, they will never come back
Yes.
uh, to calm down the frayed nerves.
Yes.
They are gone way before people even discover. But when you have a genuine business running, and eroding of trust matters to your
Mm-hmm.
to your to your own existence, I think
Mm-hmm.
the point here is to understand the pain on the other side, and ensure you alleviate it in whichever way
Right.
is possible for you. And that's where you build trust. A lot of the examples we see of large business houses where they are known when it comes to alleviating the pain of people, whether employees or customers, and they go out of their way. I think that has set the benchmark, and that stays true for any while we use your tools of media to address and alleviate the situation. The point is going down to the center, and center of the problem, and addressing it and being honest about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hitesh, for sharing these wonderful insights. This is another side of marketing that most of us don't get to witness altogether. And this concludes today's episode. If you have liked it, then please do subscribe to our channel. Until next time.